sisters, I will proudly take a stand. When liberty's in jeopardy, I will always do what's
Army Major Malik Hassan Nadal opens fire at the Soldier Readiness Center in Fort Hood, Texas. In a 7-minute shooting spree, he kills 13 people and wounds 30. Nadal is shot by civilian police on the post, ending his rampage.
The whistles got woo!
But wait, there's more. The first shell casing hadn't even hit the floor when the den of dumbasses known as the Truth Movement began spewing their version of what really happened on the Alex Jones and Loose Change forums. As usual, they decided to make uneducated guesses about the reason this happened, so as usual I get to come in and set their stupid-ass theories and blaze in front of them. The thread over at InfoWars is over 30 pages long and contains too much stupid for one 10-minute video, so let's check in at the LCF and see what the resident authorities on the truth have to say about it. Wow, a whole 10 posts as of production time. I figured they'd be all over this one. Let's see, an initial post about the shooting, JFK letting us know that the Fort Hood website was down. Oh, here we go. Dominic DiMaggio lets us all know that early reports of 3 gunmen being narrowed down to 1 is fishy. Why? Early reports listed the number of casualties as 7 dead, and by the end of the day it was up to 13. Is that fishy too? No, of course not. But in the case of the double standard, the earliest reports to the idiots are the most reliable as long as they confirm their delusional theories. Just like the second shooter that was detained at the golf course, complete with a link to an evil mainstream media story without mentioning the story calls the detained person a suspect, who was later released. Which leads to double standard number 2. Everyone who is ever arrested for anything is automatically guilty as long as their name is not Luke Radowski. While the events of that day unfolded, it was reported that Hassan was among those killed. According to this poster, that was a lie. Let's hit the Wayback Machine and see what else the media lied about in their initial reports. Dewey defeats Truman. Dick Cheney dead. New England Patriots 19-0. Stupid media robots. Then Moomin, I swear to God that's his net handle, chimes in with 3 reasons this has to be a bullshit story. The first one being, Hassan is reported to have said Allahu Akbar and calls this claim unconfirmed. It is, if you disregard the testimony of Private Joseph Foster and Specialist Kira Bono, 2 of the many who reported this occurring, so I guess it's only unconfirmed if it once again doesn't mesh with what you want to have happened. Number 2. Hassan had ties with an imam who was a recruiter for Al-Qaeda. Talk about unconfirmed. The imam in question, Anwar al-Awlaki, may not be a recruiter for Al-Qaeda, but when it's a fact that his sermons were attended by 3 of the 9/11 hijackers, you start to question the message he speaks. But according to Mumsy, even if he was part of Al-Qaeda, not everyone who attended his sermons were terrorists. Which is true, if you count the ones that don't fly planes into buildings or shoot unarmed soldiers. Al-Awlaki, by the way, is wanted by authorities for his Al-Qaeda connections, praised Hassan on his website, and hasn't been heard from since March 2009. What would you think?
The whistles got woo!
Number 3, and this is where the dumb rubber meets the stupid road. Hassan, it is claimed, as a non-combat soldier, could not have fired over 100 rounds with 2 pistols in a room full of combat soldiers awaiting deployment. It was impossible, he says. Seriously, are you fucking kidding me? George Hennard wasn't a combat soldier when he gunned down 23 people in a Luby's cafeteria. Seng Hoi Choi wasn't a soldier when he shot 32 people dead at Virginia Tech. Then again, this is a poor comparison because people trying to eat and learn don't carry assault rifles with them. But the term ready to be deployed strikes me as odd. Was the author insinuating that everybody who was in this room was wearing ACUs, IBAS, ACH, ProMask, Camelback, eye protection, weapon, and or sidearm with a combat load of ammo? I fucking hope not, because he assumes wrong. Those who perished that day were medical units or engineers and one civilian physician's assistant, not the infantry, the artillery, and they weren't dirty, nasty 19-kilo tankers either. The notion that they were ready to be deployed is idiotic too. Why were they at SRC if they were all ready to be deployed? The purpose of an SRC is to make sure you have everything in order before you get on the plane. And by the post Mumsy made, it seems ludicrous that these heavily armed soldiers didn't shoot back. That would be due to lack of firearms. And let's just say that this did in fact happen to a group about to get on the bus to go to the plane deploying soldiers. It still wouldn't have made a difference because while they may have rifles, they don't have rounds. You don't get those until you get in the theater, because if they give you rounds before you leave, one might be tempted to shoot their spouse to prevent any extramarital affairs. And while on a plane, it would be bad juju in the event someone let loose a round through the window of the plane while it was over the Atlantic. At least post number 10 made sense, which is a rarity around those parts. But as dumb as their ideas are, nothing can hold a candle to what really happened. In a post brought to my attention by the lovely Orphea Nay, a crazed Muslim was not the real shooter. The perpetrators were two young soldiers who vowed to fight their deployment in this war of oppression. John Smith and John Henry, as legend has it, announced they would defend themselves in the event they were called to go to war, so the army placed them under the care of Malik Hassan for 5 weeks. Then on November 5th, in the attempt to get them out of their barracks, these two privates opened fire on the group of 43 people that gathered outside their room. A group that included their therapist, Major Hassan, who was shot twice and recovering. This story is so ridiculous I'm not even going to comment on it, and it's just too fucking stupid for words.